Hello there, Sarah from 17 once again, introducing you to my Batman Arkham City Hard Plus difficulty video walkthrough. And this is the Joker and the Cure. So right there was an interesting little event when I went up and tried to do a double takedown, but because I'd been seen by that guy behind, Batman just did a fancy counter move and it didn't work. So you want to be careful whenever that happens, because there's nothing more embarrassing than watching Batman clench his fist and still getting slapped in the face. But a couple of guys to beat up here, and this is going to be an alternative way to get into the steel mill, because we can't go down the pipe anymore, so we have to go this way. And now that we've got that lovely tool from Mr. Freeze that enables us to freeze things, we can make a lovely raft of ice and go through this little bit of an obstacle course that's coming up. And it's very simple, it's very easy. But after this section, when we get into the steel mill and we find the Joker, we will have to fight him and a massive marathon of enemies. And it's probably the hardest fight of the game. There's one other fight coming up where you take on a bunch of Hugo Strange's security guards that's pretty challenging, but I do believe that this is probably the hardest. So, if you're not confident in your ability to fight, this is going to be a challenging section in the next video. But this stuff here is all nice and simple. It's just going to be platforming, it's just going to be climbing over shit, it's just going to be being Batman and doing what Batman does. So, I'm going to talk about some other stuff to keep the commentary as fresh as I can and as diverse as possible. And my topic is going to be a documentary that I watched in my big old binge of watching documentaries. And it is on internet porn addiction, which is a fantastic subject for anybody, I do believe, especially if you have an interest in the source material, and I certainly do. And the documentary itself is really interesting because it looks into what these people are doing. It looks into the addiction itself, and it looks into the ways to get through it. And the worst thing about any kind of documentary is as if it shows only one side of the perspective, if it shows only one side of the argument, because that way it loses all objectivity and it becomes a biased piece of propaganda. And this itself wasn't that, but it wasn't supported nowhere near as much as it could have been, so the entire thing seemed to demonize pornography, and I do believe that pornography itself is a fantastic thing. I do believe it is art, and I also believe that it should not be looked down upon or scorned upon when you consider that the industry itself makes more money than the movie industry and pretty much every other industry there is, because at the end of the day, when we get bored of endless sequels and Arnold Schwarzenegger film remakes, we're always going to want to watch people fuck. That's just what it is. It's just the industry as it is, and it's human nature. We're going to want to see deprived and sexual things, and we click a button on the internet and we get to watch aforementioned deprived and sexual things. So the porn industry will always be strong, it will always balloon, because we are animals and animals like to debase themselves. It's just what it's all about, and it's a hell of a lot of fun to do. So it's just, it's just how it works. But this documentary looks on it from a very negative perspective of these people that lose their wives, lose their families because they become addicted to pornography. And the thing that I'm always thinking when I watch these type of programs is, why do they get addicted to bad pornography? That's what I don't understand. I know it's like anything else, it's a subjective topic, you shop around, you find what you like, but these people are always on the worst sites watching the worst possible, blue stuff. It's just ridiculous. Like this one guy was obsessed with watching web chat girls who lay on a bed in their underwear, barely doing anything, and talking to them purely for the relationship purpose, because they're not good at talking to women. And they pay these people so that they can watch them, they can give requests, they can talk to them, they can type requests, all that good stuff. And some of the shows are explicit and what have you, some aren't. It all depends on the stuff you're getting and how much you're willing to pay. And it just makes me think, why? Just why, man? When there's so many perfectly, beautiful and attractive, extremely filthy people you could watch doing something else for free. And the internet itself is the death of the porn industry from a lot of people, but I just don't understand them doing this. And the best thing about the documentary is it did go into the more analytical side of the sex trade, and it did show you, all the different business and financial angles of things, which was cool, but it was all in a very biased kind of way of showing that it's all about the money, it's not about, anything else, and that these people are getting addicted to it, and it's a bad thing. And the part where the documentary really lost me and pissed me off at the same time was when they're on about how they cure addiction. Because I have pretty strong opinions on addiction, and the main reason for this is because, aside from, You know, a couple of things I enjoy to do. I don't really have any kind of dependency, any physical dependencies. I love to drink coffee and I drink an abundance of it, but if I had to stop, I could do it. For instance, when I get up early to go to university, I don't drink coffee pretty much that entire day. I don't get withdrawal symptoms, I don't get headaches, and I feel nothing from it. I still enjoy doing it, and I'll still drink a hell of a lot of it when I can, but I don't have a physical dependency. I don't do drugs, even though I probably talk like a person that probably does, and I don't really do any of that stuff. Never really had it. So to me, the whole concept of addiction is a peace of mind. It's a preference. It's like wellness. Wellness in itself is a peace of mind, because you can make your body feel a specific way just by using your brain, just by the act of thought and the act of insinuating on a subconscious level to get a response out of your body. And for anybody that doesn't know what I'm trying to hint at here, for instance, when you see somebody being sick and they're gagging, it kind of makes you want to gag. It kind of makes you want to be sick. And it's the same like when somebody yawns, that makes you yawn. And this is just a mild reflex of what your body does, because there's a name for it that I don't know off by heart, but there is actually a name for this response that triggers something in your body, because it's a subconscious signal that you pick up on and you don't realise. But what I mean by your mood being able to affect your well-being is, have you ever noticed how when you pretend to be ill, say if you're skipping out on work or you're skipping out on school, and you say, oh, I've got stomach ache, I feel really bad, I'm all achy, and there's nothing wrong with you, yet for some reason you start feeling kind of shit, and you start thinking, maybe I am actually ill, and every little ache, every little, pain starts to feel like it's probably something more serious. And the more you worry about it and the more you look down on it and feel like you actually do feel shit, the shitter you feel, because you have a physiological reaction on your own body just through your own thinking, your own thoughts. They affect you physically. And it's similar with a hell of a lot of things. You get these responses, and a lot of it is completely psychological, completely psychosomatic, and it's all about your own perception of yourself. And I believe a lot of addiction is people that don't have the willpower to just fucking stop. And I do realise that there's a lot of it that is completely genuine, and they need to be weaned off, and they need to go through certain programs because the body is physically dependent on some kind of substance. What I do condemn and do not agree with whatsoever, even though it has shown statistically that it works, is the use of religion and a divine property to cure addiction. Because to me, it is just bullshit. And it's bullshit in every angle of bullshit, because it's just selling fucking lies. And I really don't like it, because it's just manipulating people.
It's all right. You're safe.
And that's what this documentary did. It was curing sex addiction with these people by doing the 12-step program. And for anybody that's not familiar with the 12-step program, it involves alcoholism, it involves a lot of different dependencies. And what they basically do is they follow this sequence of motivational steps that help them cure addiction, and they help them keep away from the things that take them to the places that they end up in, and they end up doing what they don't want to do. And primarily through this entire step, instead of it being something along the lines of, stay away from the local smackhead, don't go to your old junky friends who love to do nothing better than slap a belt around their bicep and then shoot up a bunch of opium. It doesn't say functional things like that. It says, commit yourself to Jesus, to a divine property. Acknowledge that God has power over your body and will move you into a better direction. And it basically uses an illusory character to control what you do from there. And all it is behavior modification that these people are doing to vulnerable and heavily influenced people who are looking out for help, and what they're getting is pretty much indoctrination to a faith that might not be their own, that might not be supported, but has been proven to help addiction. And I don't agree with it, and it pissed me off when it came up on this fucking program, because the day they make an edible Bible is the day that hunger is cured in Africa, because there's so many fucking people going out there and trying to share faith to people that don't need faith, they don't need religion, they need food, and they need water. And it's just such a ridiculous world that we live in, and it's all we ever see. And this is not me having an attack at anybody that does follow a religion or anything along those lines. That is perfectly fine. I just do not like people proselytizing and using it on vulnerable people, and that's what this is, cause to me, internet porn addiction, is a hilarious topic, because at the end of the day, there's a quote from the program where this woman who's a psychologist who's been curing internet porn addiction for like 2 weeks or something pretentious, And she goes on to say that the reason that people do it is because there's no response. You go, you watch porn, you self-flagellate, you masturbate, whatever you want to call it, and then you don't feel any better for doing it, and you do it again, and you go back to it because you're not getting what you want. And I'm sorry, that is completely wrong. You're going to that for one very specific purpose, and that is to get off, and to get those fleeting moments of pure euphoria before you get the crushingness of the world coming back, and then you feel normal. And you're not going back to it because you have to. You're going back to it because you want to. That's the difference. This is not your body saying, oh, I have to do this. This is your body saying, this feels real fucking good, and it only takes 5 minutes. And it's just preposterous, and it's just one of those documentaries that I would definitely say watch because it's interesting, but at the same time, just bear in mind that this has been brought to you and this has been edited in such a way that it is in no way supporting anything good or any redeeming property of pornography, and that is completely wrong. And that room I've just done there, it can be challenging, but I made it look exceptionally easy. Be careful of the mine that I just ran through and used my face to shield, because they can kill you very easily on hard, and you want to be aware of that. But I've been watching a ton of documentaries. I watched a bunch of Charlie Brooker documentary series, which are Games Wipe, Screen Wipe, and I think it's like News Wipe. Yeah, that's the last one, News Wipe. And if you've never seen this guy, he analyses things in the media, he analyses things on TV, he analyses news, he analyses pretty much everything. And he does it from a very cynical and hilarious English perspective. And it comes across like a really bitter but extremely witty and clever old man, and he's amazing. And if you've never seen any of these programs, please check them out, because if you're a fan of the stupid shit I say, this guy is just gold. Everything he says and all these little observations that he makes are really, really funny and exceptionally clever, and it's just a really, really good program. And there's a hell of a lot of it on the internet that you can watch for free, so it's not too difficult to track down, and it's well worth your time. If you're playing a game and you want some background noise on and you don't have anything, it's just sublime watching. But this section here, if you neutralise the guy with the gun with the disruptor, he won't be a threat whatsoever. The only threat in this room are the mines, and you have to maneuver around the room and not get too close to them, or obviously they're going to blow you up. It's all pretty simple, and unfortunately Batman has this thing where he doesn't want to walk over something that's, a metre high, yet he'll clamber a wall that's 3 metres high, so you'll just have to bear with the Cape Crusaders and his inability to mantle a small wall. And I do believe the best tactic is to go on the conveyor belt, so once you're on here you can continue moving forward, then you can take this dude out and you can get into the next room, which is a room you will remember. It's where we took on the very first one-armed dude, and we're going to be fighting the Joker and a bunch of his henchmen. And it's a really tough fight, but it's in the next video, so I'm not going to talk about it until we're there. Oh, you've got to love Harley Quinn, she's so funny. She inadvertently tells you exactly what's going off, and just as she's finished, you get to put the tape back on her mouth. You've used her in every way you saw fit, got all the information from her, and then you can progress onwards. There you go. Duct tape on the mouth. And then you can progress on, like a boss. But we're coming towards the end of the game, believe it or not. This is kind of the final hour, so to speak, where we take on Joker, we have a nice big fight with him. Then we have to go up into the Wonder Tower, and once you've done that, you're pretty much fighting the last boss. It's amazing how fast the game goes. It really does fly. And I do think it's because they've intended the Catwoman stuff to be mandatory. They intended that to be the campaign, because it definitely fleshes it out. I just wish there was more. I really do. But that's what the side quests are for, I suppose. But thanks for watching, guys. I hope the guide's helping, as always, and you take care now.